I don't know, Nick. What do you think?
Hey, Marty. I don't think the agency's paying us enough to keep quiet.
I know, but if we try to tell people that some of the satellites up there are not actually from Earth, they'll bump us off the air again.
Do you really think they'll shut us off, Marty?
Yeah, I think so. Well, we just do what we can.
Yeah, as we always do. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Not let them know what's really
hopefully
on out there.
Hopefully they won't even listen to the show this week until it's way too late. You know what the agency is like. Come on.
Hi, this is Tavi Greiner, Astronomy.fm's Vice President of Communications. If you enjoy our programming, please let us know with a donation to astronomy.fm/donate. We really do rely on your support, and it's true. Every little bit counts.
AFM.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
The curtain of night is drawn back. The telescopes are trained. The domes are open. The audience is set. Now, step into the event horizon.
Hey, Marty. I don't think the agency.
Guys, we were live for that. So the end counting down, and you're live in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Event Horizon here on Astronomy.fm radio. It is another Friday night. My name is Marty Coons with my co-host.
Good evening, everybody. It's me, Nick Yvetz. 2 Echo 0 Lima Uniform November. And what are we going to do, Marty? We're going to take over the world.
We are going to do that. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you all here tonight. We've been off for a little while. Just technical difficulty. We're going to call it technical difficulties. That's why we're off for a little bit there. All right. It is Friday evening, April the 26th, 2019. Friday night. A little bit after 9 o'clock in the evening for those of us here in the eastern portion of North America, and that is daylight savings time. Also known Universal Time would be Saturday morning, April the 27th, about it's 1 o'clock in the morning Universal Time.
3 minutes past Marty already.
Yeah, we're live for the next hour. Of course, actually, I should say this now. We're gonna cut our show 10 minutes short because we've got longer extra programming coming on after this one.
Yeah.
So just note that we'll stop about 10 minutes still.
Under British Skies is back. Can you believe it? We're back.
It is, and I helped.
Yeah, Mark, yeah, you were our guest for the show. Even if I did come in a bit late.
Nobody will know. Alrighty, so let's see. Welcome people in our chat room, man. Come on over to the chat room at astronomy.fm, and you'll see down near the bottom where it says chat. Just click on that, type in a name, skip password, erase it if anything's there, and then hit login, and you'll be here in our chat room. Glad to have you join us tonight. We've got Glenn, StarStorm, and Optronic so far. Plenty of room for more people to come on over
there
here.
There may be some of my friends from the Lunar Lee server listening in tonight. So hi Luna, hi Theo, and if anybody else on the server is listening, great to have you with us. Boy, are they for sure.
Indeed. Oh, it's good to be back.
Yes, it
Friday
is.
night again. All right, let's get started. Where do you want to start? There's so much stuff to go.
Let's go to Mars. Let's go to Mars, shall we?
Where do you want to start with?
Mars.
Mars? Okay.
Mars, yes.
Which one about Mars did you want to start with?
Well, this is NASA's first Mars quake.
Yes.
InSight seismometer has finally picked up the first rumblings in the Martian soil after 2 months. Okay, so the InSight lander has installed one of the most sensitive seismometers ever built on Mars earlier this year. And if that isn't going to make you go, wow, well, now it's finally detected its first Mars quake. And, of course, Sky at Night has returned with us, has done a story on it. So it's all good stuff. The thing is, a lot of people understandably see Mars as being a dead planet. Snickers, Mars bars. Mars bars in England are a lot better than Mars bars over here, unfortunately. In England, they got...
Are they?
Yes, they've got nougat, they've got caramel, they've got glucose. Just the one thing every astronomer needs, wrapped up in nice milk chocolate. And of course, if you really want to save space between your meals, you can always have a munch on the Milky Way, I suppose.
Mhm.
I'm
I
getting.
wondered if I was trying to. Was there a time when they weren't actually making Mars bars here anymore, or something like that, for a little while? Or?
Well, they changed names for things because there was kind of a culture clash. What you call Musketeers is in Britain would be a Milky Way bar.
Okay. So different formulas for different named products.
Well,
So I remember Mars bars. I remember Milky Way bars.
Yeah. And of course, Mars bars, like I say, in England, they're stuffed full of sugar and glucose, and beloved of the British Army because you could carry quite a few of them in your pocket. And they were very good if you were on stag, which is guard duty, or if you were on a training on a field exercise and you needed a quick thing. Robin Hood, Glenn says, yes, just to prove it's live. In the chat room, Glenn has already commented about Milky Ways and Robin Hood, and but anyway, we're getting a bit away from the subject. Mars quakes.
It was Mars. That's right. Mars quakes. Mars bars.
Yeah. So anyway, the signal lasted about 10 minutes. It had a magnitude of 2 to 2.5. I'm assuming this is on the Richter scale still, and a shaking so slight that humans wouldn't have felt it if it happened on Earth. The French-built SEIS started science operations on February the 4th after a 2-month period. It deployed to its current placement a few meters from the lander. It's recorded 3 other signals which could have had a seismic origin, but researchers are still trying to rule out other causes such as winds. Now, the InSight principal investigator Bruce Banneret at NASA's JPL announced that the detections on April 23rd at the Seismological Society of America's annual meeting. You know what? I really, really do wish Gene was here because I think he would be having a field day with this information. Mars quakes. So there is actually a nice little video on YouTube, and it shows you the robotic arm causing seismic vibrations, Mars wind, and the signal for the Mars quake. Nice. Yeah, okay, it's probably still too weak a signal for scientists to learn much about the Martian interior, but it's going to change our view of Mars. We've always believed seismically it's dead. The core is probably totally solid. The atmosphere is being stripped off by the solar wind as we speak because there's no magnetic field being generated in the core to protect the planet. So yeah, it's going to be a nightmare to colonists. And you'd have to find a sane way to try and restart the magnetic field. I've heard everything from synchronous nuclear explosions to restart it, to a lot of other very stupid ideas. But as I say, I don't think we're going to see a magnetic field back on Mars anytime in the near future. And to be honest, building a generator station, I think is out of the way. Would I go one way? Glenn is asking in the chat room, would I go one way to Mars? Maybe. I'm gonna.
Can we get a few more years on me, maybe?
Yeah. But the thing is that initially, when you consider the costs of shipping material, and you've got to realize, in order to keep a colony viable, you're going to have an awful lot of shuttle rockets filled with nothing but cargo. Maybe have a few colonists or explorers, but you'd be something like launching about 10 or 20 rockets a month.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know about a month, but at least 10 or 20 for sure. At least a year.
Perhaps, yeah, but as I say, it really depends on what supplies you're boosting there. You're going to be doing an awful lot of 3D printing on a large scale. Hey, Spock, nice to see you here. Yeah, I've got that video somewhere as well. I mean, the video of us recording under British skies, that is.
Oh, great.
More T. Vicar. Anyway,
I was going to say, yeah, well, yeah, a lot of things can be done. I mean, first you get your astronaut in orbit, and then the next one could be strictly a lander. So, the astronaut could transfer in orbit to a landing vehicle, which, could have more fuel in it, which you could even, and could even send, well, yeah, if any of them have extra fuel, they could, and then can still be sent down. Or in orbit, they can kind of be joined together and fuel transferred. So you've got a mostly full rocket as a lander, which could still be able to take off later, too.
Oh, yeah. There's been various designs.
Plus cargo missions for on the surface.
Carry on Mars, yeah. That could be one. No, would that have Spock? Would that have Gene Hawtrey? Would that have Hawtrey, Sid James, Barry Breslin, Barbara Windsor? Sorry.
So it's almost a point of money. Still on edge on the technology, but mostly money. If you can send enough supplies, pay for enough supplies and rockets to go there. Or mostly there. Still got that radiation issue, which they're actually trying to fix medically instead of with shielding solely. So there's a possibility of not having the cosmic radiation affect you medically, as opposed to trying to shield it out. Maybe a combination of both.
Well, there was a series of short stories by James Blish about the fact that most of the colonists were mutants. They were enhanced humans who had their DNA changed in order for them to be able to exist in places in the solar system that Earth standard humans could not go.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps going down the eugenics route, aka Khan. Sorry, I have to do that one. I'm getting a face palm already here. 2 already in the show, and it's only the early moments. Brilliant. But anyway, seriously, I don't think the mutation route is going to be a good one, purely because if something happened to the colony or the place the colony was living, they could not be moved anywhere else, unless, of course, you could find a world that matched their particular mutation and genetic changes. So, I don't think that's going to be a good one to do.
And I was going back to the Mars quakes. I was thinking, maybe a few more landers with seismographs on them would help. When you get an earthquake in one location and then it can show up in another lander, in another location, then they could start calculating the propagation of waves through the planet and get an idea of what the interior is like. So a couple more landers like InSight, seismometers on them will do that trip.
The interesting thing is Mars 2020 is going to be wired for sound.
Mm-hmm.
According to some of the stories coming out, is that we're actually going to get to hear the Martian wind from the next orbiter. So from the next lander, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So let me try and pull up something on Mars 2020.
See if there's something to hear with that. So are they going to put a windsock on the microphone so the wind doesn't?
Hey, what can I tell you? So Mars 2020 is a rover mission. The planned launch is on July 17th, 2020, and a touchdown in Jezero crater on Mars in February 2021. The launch vehicle will be an Atlas V. So we're talking a power of 110 watts. The rover dimensions are 3 by 2.7 by 22 meters. That's about 9.8 by 8.9 times 7.2 feet. So and there's a nice link here to the overview of the mission as well.
Yeah.
So we'll put that into the chat. There we go. They're going to do a sky crane again.
Oh, are they? Okay.
That's what this is showing, yeah.
Hangs down for the parachute, and then engines fire, and basically it breaks away, and then the engines fire. Breaks away from the cable, then the engines fire to settle it down the last few feet or so. Okay.
Now, well, the mission, the high priority science goals for Mars exploration are key questions like the potential for life on Mars. So not only is it going to look for habitable conditions in Mars's ancient past, they're going to look for signs of past microbial life itself. Now, the 2020 rover introduces a drill that can collect core samples of the most promising rocks and soil and set them aside in a cache on the surface of Mars. So we could have a return mission in the future to bring those samples home to Earth. So that would obviously help scientists. They can actually look at them on Earth-based laboratories with special room-sized equipment that would be too large to take to Mars. You know what I'm thinking? We need to get the big freaking rocket going.
There you go, the BFR.
Yeah, and
Big Falcon rocket.
yeah, Bezos. Not Bezos. Musk is talking about this. He's actually starting to build stuff for it. Now, the interesting thing is he's going back to stainless steel. He's going away from lightweight carbon materials for his rocket. He's going back to good old-fashioned solid metal. Okay. Now, the other thing 2020 is going to do is going to test a method for producing oxygen from the Martian atmosphere. It's going to look for resources such as subsurface water. They're going to be using this for improving landing techniques and characterizing weather, dust, and other potential environmental conditions that could affect the future astronauts, cosmonauts, taikonauts, whatever nauts living and working on Mars. And as Spock points out in the chat room, Mars is not going to be one country going to there. It's going to be an international effort because just the sheer amount of logistics involved is going to require international cooperation. So we could see Russians, Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, British, American, all working together on manned missions to Mars. Let's face it, the more resources you've got, and even Musk with his resources, he would not be able to sustain Mars exploration on his own. And the great thing about about the SpaceX determination to build bigger, better, more effective and efficient rocket and launch systems is the fact that he could actually defray his costs by the international consortium, perhaps paying him and Steve Bezos to build the launch equipment, the spacecraft that's going to go there, and to build the landing and launch, the planetary launch back to orbit as a collaboration.
Yep. Would be better to have multiple companies with different rockets. Hopefully they can cooperate enough to interface with each other too in case of emergencies. Yeah. But yeah, multiple companies building multiple rockets. One company would not be able to handle the building schedule for that many rockets that would need to support a mission like this.
Well, you got to think back to the Apollo era. In order to address the mission requirements of Apollo, they were building 2 rockets a month. 2 Saturn V, complete Saturn Vs a month. SLS, they've barely built 1 rocket in 3 months. Yep. Never mind all the delays, the accidents, and back to the drawing board because suddenly we've just blown a couple of $1 billion and it just doesn't work. It won't just be Blue Yonder's rocket. It won't just be SpaceX's rocket. They will need SLS, or the son of SLS, because they have the most powerful engine in the world for launch. The Saturn V F1 engine, well, the son of F1, because it is still rated as being the most powerful rocket engine in existence. And now perhaps people can understand why Bezos went to all the financial cost to raise one from the bottom of the Atlantic, because now he has an engine he can reverse engineer quite safely and quite effectively.
Hopefully.
Well, it shouldn't. It's The thing is, back in those days, liquid-fueled engines, it wasn't rocket science, ironically. It was plumbing science. If you took away the aluminium surround on a Saturn V, you would see plumbing.
Oh yes, definitely.
So basically,
But there's still a lot of little variables there, compressors and stuff like that. That's not just alloys, proper alloys placements.
yeah.
That would have been tested. So you can get the general premise, but still going to be a lot of new research. It's going to have to be.
Exactly. That way you can perhaps have the grandson of the F1 engine, even maybe launching or flying from a space station or from the moon to Mars. Ion drives are great, yeah. They save a lot of fuel. They can do a lot of maneuvering, but they're still relatively low thrust.
Yeah. Slow stuff.
It's slow, but with a big engine like an F1, Saturn V engine, you open her up to full throttle, and that's what they did. They just basically ignited the candle, opened her up to full throttle, and it was like sit back and enjoy the trip. It's one of those things. It was very good at lifting a heavy load out of a gravity well. If you're
we just don't have the technology for warp or hyperdrive.
That would be nice. It would be nice to have a quantum drive. Sorry, I have to get the little reference in. Great show. I love it. It parodies about everything, I think. Star Trek, Star Wars has been parodied in it, I believe. It's great fun. And you know what? It still does exactly what Gene Roddenberry said. Seth MacFarlane is doing exactly what Gene Roddenberry did. He's saying, I have a great faith in the future, and that our future is out there. And it is out there. Otherwise, we are going to become dinosaurs. Some piece of rock's going to come flying through the solar system with our planet's name on it.
Bing, bang, boom.
Bing, bang, boom. Thank you, StarStorm. Goodbye, humanity and everything else for a long time.
Yes. Oh, by the way, Mars is still visible in the west after sunset. Right now, it's like about 30 degrees above the western horizon for us here in the north at about 45 degree latitude. So Mars is still hanging around. It's still out there. I think daylight might get in the way more than anything else in another month or so, but we still got Mars there. Hanging out.
We still got Saturn there. You know what? Let's do this week's Sky at a Glance show. We haven't done one of these for ages. StarStorm, don't forget the links, please.
All right.
Sorry, I haven't had a chance to pick on her like this for a show for ages.
We can do some what's happening in the sky stuff too. You got some, I got some stuff too. We can do a little bit of that. So
brilliant. So Friday, April 26th. Oh look, that's today. Last quarter moon, exact at 6:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight. The moon rises very late tonight around 3 a.m. Daylight saving time in the center of the dim boat-shaped pattern of Capricornus. High above the moon is Altair. The brightest stars far to the moon's right or upper right is Saturn, then brighter Jupiter. The 27th, Saturday, as night descends, look high in the west for Pollux and Castor, almost horizontal depending on your latitude. Those two stars, the heads of Gemini, the twins, form the top of the the enormous Archer Spring, as Alan McRobert likes to call it in his article. So, to the lower left is Procyon, the left end of the arch. Further to the lower right is the other end, formed by Mechalelin, Beta Aurigi, then brilliant Capella. The whole thing sinks lower through the evening. Now, modern sky watchers aren't alone in seeing the Archer Spring as one giant asterism. Extend it down past Procyon to add Sirius or Sirius, depending on which you like. And then you've got the Hawaiian canoe builder of Makalele. On the 28th, as the last of the twilight phase, the dim... oh boy, hang on a second. The dim Ursa Minor extends to the right from Polaris. High above Ursa Minor's bowl, marked by Cohab, Polaris is equal in brightness. You'll find the bowl of Ursa Major. On Monday, just after dark, the sickle of Leo stands vertical high in the south. The bottom star is Regulus, the brightest of Leo. Second place is yellow Abia above it. Leo himself is walking horizontal westward. The sickle forms his front leg, chest, mane, and part of his head. The nebula, about 2.5 fists at arm's length left of Regulus, is his tail and tail tip. Tuesday the 30th. Arcturus is the brightest star high in the east. These evenings, Spica shines lower right by all of 3 fists. To the right of Spica, by half the distance, is the distinctive 4-star constellation of Corvus, the Crow of Spring. May the 1st. It's May now, but Winter Sirius is still twinkling low in the west-southwest at the end of twilight. It sets soon after. How much longer into the spring can you keep it in view? In other words, this will be its date of heliacal setting as seen by you. So on Thursday the 2nd, summer is more than 6 weeks away, but the summer triangle is beginning to make its appearance in the east, one star after another. First in view is Vega. It's already visible low in the northeast as twilight fades. Next up is Deneb, lower left of Vega by 2 or 3 fists at arm's length. Deneb takes about an hour to appear after Vega does, depending on your latitude. Third is Altair, which shows up far to their lower right around midnight. And of course that brings us back to Friday the 3rd. 3 0-magnitude stars shine in the after dark sky in May. Arcturus high up in the southeast, Vega much lower in the northeast, and Capella in the northwest. They appear so bright because each is at least 60 times as luminous as the sun. And they're all relatively nearby, 37, 25, and 42 light years from us respectively.
All right, we'll add a little bit to that. Right now, Jupiter is rising at right around midnight for this, again, it's a little bit more northern hemisphere centric there, our reports, but kind of the same for everybody for rising. So Jupiter right around midnight, and a couple hours after that, Saturn will be rising. And of course, early in the morning, about 6 in the morning, we've got Mercury and Venus. The sun is in the constellation of Aries right now. On May the 2nd, the moon will be a real thin crescent south of the planet Venus, only 6% lit, and then on the 4th, May 4th, new moon.
And what do we do in new moon? We all go out and do deep sky stuff like comets. And as of my last check, we're actually recording Comet Watch on Sunday.
Okay. There's another one. Great. Part 2 of the new season. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Are you broadcasting it or recording it?
We're recording it. Sunday at 2100 BST. Myself, Neil Norman, and Mary McIntyre will get together. We'll record the show. And we do have a special guest.
Excellent. Keep it a mystery.
Absolutely.
All right. Sounds real good. So let's see. Well, not quite our halfway point. We can skip around a little bit. We're talking about SpaceX earlier. They had a little incident with their Dragon capsule.
Yeah.
They were testing the engines on it, and something went wrong. No one was injured, but they prefer to analyze what happened before they actually release any data more than that. So it was a test of the rocket engines on the Dragon capsule, which the rocket engines on the Dragon capsule are there for basically getting away from the main rocket. If there's some problem with the main rocket on launch,
it's the
Dragon capsule will fire its own engines, take it away from the main rocket, and parachute and land down in the ocean. So it's the emergency escape system. And they were testing the engines and had some issue that they don't wish to discuss at the moment. But I'm sure once they figure out what happened, they'll let us know after that.
This is the point of testing it.
Yes.
Their first test, they sent it up to the ISS. It had the cousin of the Stig, Mannequin Mark II, Spaceman Mark II on board.
It doesn't need its escape engines when it's just going to the space station on a cargo run.
No.
But if you want to put people in it, you have to have that escape system.
Well, the thing is, This is the whole point of doing static testing on Earth, because that way you know before you even put humans on board, you know if there's a problem. If there's a problem, you analyze it, you fix it, you retest it. Even if that test goes wrong, you go back, analyze it, reconfigure, retest. The whole point is to make it as safe as possible. Now, the thing is, space travel is dangerous. It is darn dangerous.
Everything's dangerous, but not everybody's looking at you when you do dangerous
We wouldn't
things.
do it if we were wimps.
We have you heard StarStorm. We wouldn't do it if we were wimps. But the point is, when we had the flying brick, the space shuttle, we got complacent. We got used to seeing perhaps 1 or 2 launches a month. Now, when you consider how fast they were having to turn around each shuttle, and the strap-on boosters and the external fuel tanks, mistakes got made. We know that. But the thing is, everybody was up in arms. Oh, space is dangerous. We can't do this. It's too dangerous to human life. The point is, sometimes something's going to happen. We had the Apollo 1 fire. We learned an awful lot of lessons. And as Gene Kranz pointed out at the congressional hearings, what would Roger Chaffee, Gus Grissom, and Virgil White want? To continue. Because they died, not in vain, but they died, and the accident taught us very important things. The most important thing is you cannot put Velcro into a pure oxygen environment. It catches fire very, very easily. Now, obviously, the contractor and NASA were paying for a while, did play the blame game. Oh, it's your fault, you're the contractor, you're skimping, your wires are getting damaged, it triggered the fire. And then the contractor said, yeah, well, you guys wanted so much Velcro over the place to put pens and stuff, you started this. Whatever. The big problem is they were doing a static test with 100% oxygen, and that is begging for trouble.
If they realize that.
They realized it pretty much afterwards.
It's like, well, you can only test so much. You can't test everything. You can't test what you don't know.
Exactly.
That's part of the problem. So you test as much as you can. You try to learn, try to figure out if there's going to be any mistakes. Sometimes there are. That's why there are true mistakes, because it's something that was not expected, or no one could expect it, or even predicted it, or the risk level is another major factor in safety too. When the risk level is low, you know you're taking a chance, but it's still there. It's still a risk. So, I mean, same thing right now. Space station could get hit by a sizable rock.
Yeah.
That's not good. The risk level is low, but it could happen. Now, space station could get hit by a piece of orbital debris. That is a higher risk factor than a random rock, but still acceptable because they can track the biggest stuff. You can't track the smallest stuff, and they think, well, maybe we can handle something smaller hitting depending on the area. If it's a more critical area, well, that risk factor is a little high. If it's a less critical area, that risk factor is low, but it's still a risk factor. So you have to be able to live with those risk factors. If you can gauge what they are, fine. If not, then you basically hope for the best.
Now, one of the interesting things was one of the most critical missions with Apollo was Willie Schirra's mission, where they actually were it was the first actual manned launch of the Saturn V. The thing was, when they were prepping for the mission, the contractor was not able to provide the Block 2 seating for the command module. And Willie Schirra was not happy with the idea of using the Block 1 seating, because the nightmare to the Apollo crew was, yeah, we have to abort. We use the escape tower to rip the capsule off the top of the rocket. It's all well and fine if the wind pushes us over the ocean, but if the winds were to push the command capsule back over the land, and they have to splash down figuratively as a dry landing, the concern was that the Block 1 seating would not be able to withstand the impact.
Mm-hmm.
So in the end, as I remember, he actually won his argument. He held out. They managed to get a Block 2 seating set for the command module. And of course, then
The capsule.
And
Command modules behind it.
yeah, the thing is, though, at the end of the day, he got what he wanted. The other thing was, of course, on that day of the launch, the wind was so erratic that it was very nearly a scrub. And in fact, at the end of the day, it was down to Wally Shearer to make a final decision to go, no go. And he actually decided to go. He got the perfect conditions they wanted with a window long enough for them to clear the gantry. And they went. That is the whole point of being an astronaut. You're doing things, you do things where you know the risks. And at the end of the day, you try to negate the more dangerous risks as much as possible. The big problem with the shuttle was, what they didn't realize was that the material cladding on the external fuel tank was becoming a projectile. It was being stripped off during the launch, and it was hitting the heat-resistant tiles underneath that protected the orbiter when it re-entered. Now, one of the big problems was, which was the cause of the second orbiter loss, was the fact that a chunk of this material tore a hole in the wing. No one could see it. And when they re-entered, the plasma generated by re-entry got inside the wing of the orbiter, and it was blown to bits. But at the end of the day, everybody who flew it were willing to take the risk because of the goals.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't take the risks, you're never going to get the results. We could rely forever on robots, but we may miss something. The most important thing found on the Apollo program was orange soil. I believe it was Faro Moro area. That would have been potentially missed. Well, actually, Glenn, you're sitting on a giant bomb when you're flying on a Saturn V. It is just what it exactly is. It's a bomb. Just it's a chemical bomb instead of a nuclear bomb. But anyway, the thing is, a robot probe controlled by Earth could possibly miss it. And by the time they realized what they'd seen, it may have been too late to back up and go there. Having a human on the job means subtle things which may be missed by a robot, by electronics, get picked up.
Mark one eyeball.
Mark one eyeball. Thank you, StarStorm. So at the end of the day, the whole point of manned space is to take the chance, but make it a controlled risk, and get out there.
There are some things you can't plan for.
Agree. There's things you can't plan for. Apollo 13 showed us that one with the oxygen tank explosion. But they turned it around from being a disaster into a learning experience, and they pulled it off. They used the LEM. They went around the moon. They came home, jettisoned the LEM. They re-entered. They splashed down, and we had 3 guys home.
Hey, Nick, did you know that you're listening to the Event Horizon here on Astronomy.fm radio? It is another Friday night, and this one is April the 26th, 2019. A little more than halfway through our program. Mm-hmm. And, of course, we got another, actually, we're going to stop a little short. We'll stop at 10 minutes till because we got extended after programming. Yeah. And we're going to repeat all these shows for every 4 hours for the next 24 hours.
All the links will be on our YouTube, my YouTube page anyway, where you can see pictures of the event the Event Horizon graphics, and you can listen to us and follow with the links.
And still time to come on over and join us in the Astronomy.fm chat. So just go to the home page and you'll see down there at the bottom where you could log into the chat.
And of course, we got the return of UBS tonight, which is great. You know what? I think this is brilliant. We've been on hiatus for a while. Everybody's been busy doing their own things, and sometimes it happens. But you know what? We're back. We're planning another show shortly, and of course, the Comic Watch. We took a couple of months off. We all got busy. Work, home, Avengers Endgame.
Still going on.
But as I say, we're back as well, and hopefully we should have a show for you next week to play. And again, it will be available on the Comic Watch YouTube channel.
There you go. Coming up Tuesday, since we've been talking about rocket launches and stuff like that, SpaceX is going to launch a cargo Dragon launch to the space station next Tuesday, April the 30th, starting at, the launch I think is going to be at 4:22 in the morning Eastern Daylight Time. So adjust your local time if you want to watch that. And you can always watch that on NASA TV at www.nasa.gov.
And you can go to the
Just type in
SpaceX
NASA.
website and watch it there.
Fun.
And get to see
Yeah, there you go.
the boys and girls who make everything happen.
Let's see. Got a little alert notice from the AAVSO, American Association of Variable Star Observers. Alert notice 665. Observations of our Aquarius, which is kind of a Mira-type variable star. A Mira-type variable star is a really large star that is very slow in varying. So, and it's actually kind of close to the sun right now. So, Southern Hemisphere observers can do it. Northern Hemisphere, well, after it comes back around the sun, we'll get a chance to check that out. So if you want to do a little variable star observing for a special project, check out the AAVSO.
And there are variable stars you can actually learn how to time and stuff, like Mira. Very good one. That is actually a very good one to start out with, and as our goal as well. Oh, Marcy, don't forget, you got to put the link in the chat room.
Okay, I'll grab it in there. Come on, slow computer. Let's try this again. Here we go. All right, it's coming.
Just to give you an idea, the Apollo program cost $25.4 billion. This is in 1973. In 2018 money, that's $112 billion.
That's for the entire program, though.
Yes.
Not just one. I think one launch was like $3 billion, less than that. I don't remember. It wasn't all that expensive. Even back then, it was not that expensive.
In fact, the one I was talking about is Apollo 7.
Anybody get to see the Lyrid meteor shower?
No.
That was a few days ago. Yeah, I think we had clouds here too. We're expecting snow, by the way, through like Chicago towards the northeast. I think Chicago's getting it tonight, and Michigan here will be getting it tomorrow night. So fun! Nothing like a snowstorm after we've had some near 70-degree weather. All right, let's see. April 30th would be the next meteor shower. Not a real big one, but it's the H Virginids. So coming out of Virgo, that's on the 30th. We just also missed the ones on the 24th, the Puppets. Say the 23rd with the Lyrids, and on the 22nd, the past ones was the April Row Cygnids.
Actually, Marty, I need to correct myself. Apollo 7, which was the Wally Schirra flight, was actually a Saturn 1B. It wasn't a Saturn 5. There you go. I'm even self-correcting.
Lower Earth orbit. Okay. Also, May 7th, at Aquariids meteor shower come up too. None of them are really that spectacular, but it is a meteor shower, so a chance to see something. All right. Let's see. What do we got? Oh, JAXA.
Yeah.
Has pretty much completed its Hayabusa mission with they got some images of they had where's my wrong link there. They had a piece of it which was impacting the surface of the asteroid, and it successfully did, which that's actually pretty easy to do. But they also were able to actually see the ejecta coming off of it, so they were able to image that and measure it. Now they didn't they didn't keep the orbiter real closely. They backed off the orbiter when they actually let the impactor, which is called the small carry-on impactor, hit the asteroid itself. So they're actually able to see the ejector from a distance. And then when it went into orbit around it, again, they're actually able to see an artificial crater on an asteroid. I think it's the first one they said. An actual artificial crater made onto an asteroid. Let me put that link into our chat room. Is that a return sample mission, do you recall? I don't remember.
Yes, I believe Hayabusa 2 is a return sample mission.
Okay, so they must have collected their sample then. They think they did, yeah. And the impactor would have been the last thing to stir up the surface and see what's down there. It looks like a lot more of the same stuff.
Well, yeah, so Hayabusa 2 was launched on December the 3rd, 2014, and it rendezvoused Ryugu on the 27th of June 2018. So it took about a year and a half to do a survey, and now it will depart in December 2019, returning to the Earth in December 2020. So they've got multiple payloads, remote sensing, sampling, 4 small rovers, and that will give us a good chance to see what Ryugu is made out of. Now, the interesting thing is we have since Stardust, we have come a long way in how to handle a return sample mission. Now, I'm sure everybody remembers that there was a big concern that Stardust aerogels were going to be contaminated because of what happened to it. But they were able to allow for that because they did some sampling of the area that the payload came down in, and so they were able to pretty much say, okay, this is contaminant, this isn't. And when in doubt, they further refined the samples, looking for any variations that would indicate whether it's from the return mission or if it's a contaminant. We learn. That's the important thing. Sometimes missions don't go as they're supposed to, but when they do, boy, do we get it right. We've had space probe. We've had rovers on Mars. We have got Juno still going on, as I remember. We had Cassini, and we had the Huygens lander, which did one of the most wonderful jobs ever for a very, very short period of time. It tasted Titan. And of course, we've got the missions to Europa on the drawing boards. There are at least 2 more missions going to Mars. One of them is the ESA rover. And you know what? Mars is going to be saturated. We're going to have a chance.
It's a big enough planet to have a few more probes go to it, I think.
But the thing is, though, we've had Viking, we had the ill-fated Beagle, we've had Opportunity, Spirit, we had Phoenix. Okay, noted there, Control. Basically, it's a case of we change the areas we land to do our missions each time. That gives us a chance to build up a brand spanking picture of Mars. We're not just... Yeah, we can get there is no such thing as the dark side of the moon. It's the far side of the moon.
There you go.
That's only the dark side of the moon if it's Pink Floyd.
Still mysterious.
But it's also probably the most heavily bombarded side of the moon as well. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway.
Well, we're supposed to end pretty soon. We got a mission. We got a message to continue on a little bit. So actually, I can't get to my messages. So you keep track of the messages.
Yeah, I'm keeping track. Yeah, that's why I said. That's why I mentioned control.
Technically, we got only about 5 seconds to go. So I'm not sure if we should keep going. Well, anyways, let me close it up anyways, and we'll just see how it goes, and we'll let us know when we're gone, or also just shut us off. Thanks everybody for listening in tonight. We're back. A little technical glitch, but we're fine now.
Captain Savick, this is the away team. Marty, StarStorm, and moi are ready to beam up. Good night, everyone. Nice to be back. See you soon.
Good night, all.
Live long and prosper.
We hope that you've enjoyed this program from AFM Radio, the broadcast service of Astronomy.fm. This program has been released under Creative Commons license. Please contact us for details. You may find more of our AFM original programs on our website. It's really easy to find us. We are Astronomy.fm. You may also find us in the iTunes radio listings near the top of the News Talk section, and also as an iTunes podcast selection. We'd love to hear your comments. Please email us at radio@astronomy.fm. Thanks so much for being part of the voice of astronomy around the world and across the known universe. This is Astronomy.fm Radio.
Hi, this is Tavi Greiner, Astronomy.fm's Vice President of Communications. If you enjoy our programming, please let us know with a donation to astronomy.fm/donate. We really do rely on your support, and it's true, every little bit counts.
AFM.
There I was, doing my thing, and all of a sudden, wham! Astronomy right between the eyes.